Okay.
We good?
Yep.
Hello, my name is Zion Richardson, and I'm here with my teammates, Ilya Soba, Mori Kita, and Dan Valari. We will be presenting on our findings from the simulation of the Quick Trip queuing system and reporting our final recommendations based on our data. To start, this is a brief overview of all of the topics we will be touching on. And for more background information, Quick Trip is a local convenience store where students go to purchase snacks, school supplies, and even drinks. We decided to look into Quick Trip because it is a central location on campus that experiences a great deal of foot traffic every day. Inside, they have 2 different cashiers or servers that check out the customers when it is time to make a purchase. Customers randomly go to whichever server is available, but if both servers are available, they typically go to the server that is closest. Although the number of servers is typically 2, it is subject to decrease depending on the amount of customers waiting in line. And as far as the problems, although Quick Trip currently has a successful system in place to manage their business, at times they do actually experience bottlenecks. These bottlenecks occur when several customers enter the system at once. Based on our observations, this can possibly be handled more efficiently. The system also experiences difficulties when determining the amount of servers to utilize. At times, the system may only use 1 server when 2 would be more efficient. And next, Elias.
From the problems this queuing system faced, there are a few objectives our team chose to focus on. We wanted to first gain an understanding of whether there was an ideal number of servers that Quick Trip should have on standby, as well as of how efficiency of the customers through the system can be optimized when surges of customers occur. We plan to do this by seeing what happens when the amount of servers in the system is constantly held at 2, regardless of current customers in the queue, and by also seeing what will happen when a 3rd server is added to the system when queue size is larger than 2. In order to begin our simulation model creation, we began by first collecting data within the actual system. This was followed by finding the distribution of statistics that we deemed essential to the system by using the input analyzer tool in Arena. We used these distributions and knowledge of the queuing process that Quick Trip employs to design an Arena model that closely resembles the actual system. All of the data that we collected was between 5:45 p.m. and 7:15 p.m. on Sunday, November 15th. We chose this time because we anticipated a relatively high amount of foot traffic. Group members were assigned specific data types, including time of arrival in the queue, start of the system, start of service time, and time of departure from the system. We found that we needed all 4 group members in order to do this accurately after an initial attempt with 3 group members wasn't as successful as we liked. We observed over 100 customers within the 90-minute time frame. After collection of our data, we found key statistics to assist in the formulation and verification of the model we were creating. This included the average number of customers in the system, average wait time per customer, average time spent in the system, and their corresponding confidence intervals. Also, the cashier utilization percentages were calculated. In order to find the average number of customers in the system, we created a graph that represents each customer's amount of time in the system. By creating this graph, we were able to get a visualization that represents the number of customers in the system at any given time. And next, Maury.
After collecting our data, we decided to put our data into a QQ plot to determine the distribution of the model, which represented an exponential distribution. When taking our data and placing it into the input and analysis, we were able to confirm that inter-arrival times had an exponential distribution, which we predicted. As seen by the graph, there were a few outliers, which is to be expected, but the overall data was consistent. When running the input analysis, we were able to determine that both server times were beta distributions. They were distributions that we expected because beta distributions are normally used to model uncertainty about the probability of success of random experiments. Since employees aren't switching in and out and the amount of items that are being scanned are about the same, it makes sense that they have specific into-arrival times for their services. For this model, we are assuming that customers always choose to go to the first server when it's open. This is because that is the closest server to the queue. We are also assuming that no one leaves the line after they enter, which is known as reneging. Our last assumption is based on our observation while collecting data, and that the employees of Quick Trip follow a rule of thumb where there must be 2 people in the queue for the second server to activate. This makes sense because our second server could be performing other tasks in the store while the queue isn't deemed to be significant size. Considering the assumption that we made, our model was designed accurately to reflect what we collected and the process we observed. The hold one module is a representation of the queue and only allows customers to leave the queue as long as server 1, the cashier, isn't busy or the queue size is greater than 2. In the side module, we incorporate a condition to assign customers to the server, also known as a cashier, if it was idle. If that condition was false, customers would be sent to server 2. Here's a video of our simulation running. And next, Dan.
In order to make sure the computer model we created was an accurate representation of the real-world system, we needed to validate it. To do this, we performed an output analysis of the computer model and compared the resulting data with the output analysis from our real-world system. This table puts both systems' output figures side by side for comparison. As you can see, the numbers generated from 10 replications of the computer model closely match those of the actual system. For each variable, we created a 95% confidence interval. All confidence intervals for the actual system include the value generated by the computer model and vice versa. Because of this, and the large overlap between the confidence intervals, we can assume that this computer model is a good fit for the actual system. We are attempting to improve upon the system in order to make a recommendation to Quick Trip using our simulation. So we generated 2 alternative models using the computer model previously shown as a base. These models aim to decrease wait time, number of customers in the system at any given time, and overall time spent in the system. They also aim to improve utilization of each server. The first model we created follows the same process mapping as the base model, but the difference lies in the way it is coded to function. Whereas in the base model, the second server doesn't become active until there are at least 2 people waiting in the queue. This model has the second server becoming active when there is at least 1 person waiting in the queue. This means that the rule of thumb for employees would be that if anyone is waiting in line, they need to stop what they are doing and help them. The output analysis of this alternative shows that by changing the rule of thumb in this way, Quick Trip would drastically reduce the average number of customers in the system, the average wait time, and the average time in the system. The utilization of both the first and second cashier would increase as well. The second alternative is the same as the first alternative, except it includes the possibility of a third server becoming active. The rule of thumb remains the same as for the first alternative, which means that if anyone is waiting in the queue, the third server then becomes active if the first 2 servers are busy. Here is the output analysis from this alternative. The system generates a lower average number of customers in the system, a lower average wait time, and a lower average total time spent in the system. It also generates higher utilizations for cashiers 1 and 2 than previous models. This makes this model the most preferable of all 3 computer models we've created in terms of efficiency for the customer. Here is a side-by-side comparison of the actual system with all 3 computer models. Our final recommendation to Quick Trip is that they change the rule of thumb from only activating an additional server when at least 2 people are in the queue to activating an additional server when at least 1 person is in the queue. We would also recommend that a third cashier be at the ready to serve customers whenever both of the other 2 servers are busy. These recommendations are best represented in the model of Alternative 2. These changes might mean that employees have slightly less time to work on other tasks in the store, but we judge that this is worth it based on how drastically the average wait time decreases for the customer, and also based on Quick Trip's commitment to providing their customers with the best experience possible, as is stated in their mission statement. Thank you.